Quitting my job has made me realize that I'm not an accountant anymore. I've lost that sense of identity, and I think that's harder than losing my paycheck or even losing the day-to-day routine. I've had to make a shift in my mindset and my identity, who I am as a person. Previously, when I'd talk to people, like, if they asked me what I do, I'd say, yes, I'm an accountant. Whereas now, what am I? Am I an entrepreneur? Well, if they ask what I'm doing as an entrepreneur, I'll be like, well, I'm not making any money, you know? It's almost embarrassing. I'm just going to run through a few differences between being an employee and being an entrepreneur, and just things that I'm going to have to learn as I go. I think the first mindset shift is the employee mindset versus the entrepreneur's mindset. So trading your time for money as an employee, we all know what that means, versus as an entrepreneur, you're trading responsibility for freedom. As an employee, you know what you're going to get. You know you're going to turn up 9 to 5:30. You know how much you're going to get paid each month. You know what the outcome is. Whereas as an entrepreneur, you're gaining responsibility in return for freedom, which is a price most of us want to pay. But when it actually comes down to it, some of us don't. I think another difference is the risk mindset. As an entrepreneur, we're managing and taking on risk in order to make gains. Whereas as an employee, I mean, the whole mindset of an employee is that you're not taking on the risk. It's your boss, it's the shareholders who are taking on the risk, not you. So I think that difference in mindset and identity is such a shift that you need to just become accustomed to it. And that's what I'm going to be doing over the next few months, getting used to having to take on a certain level of risk in order to obtain a return. I think as well, one of the huge differences between employee and an entrepreneur is that your routine as an employee is set by somebody else. You know what you're going to be doing Monday to Friday. You wake up, you commute, you do your tasks at work, then you come home. Whereas as an entrepreneur, you can do essentially what you would like to do to an extent. Obviously, you need to do the work to get the result, but at the end of the day, if you only need to work 2 hours to get the result you want, you only need to work 2 hours. You set your hours, you set your structure, you set your discipline, right? So if you aren't disciplined as an entrepreneur, you're going to fail. That's my belief, right? Because especially these early stages, they're not easy and you do have to be disciplined. Again, another change in the identity compared to being an employee and an entrepreneur is just the radical free will that you get and the insane level of independence, right? There's no boss, right? Your boss are your clients, but you can choose your clients. You can't choose your boss. You've not got anyone checking your work, do you? You just wake up, you do your work. If it's bad, the client will tell you it's bad. If it's good, the client might tell you it's good, or they might not. There's no one validating you. And I think that's a key point. There is no validation. The only validation you might get is if someone leaves a review, but you might have to ask for that. Whereas if you're an employee working for a good boss, they will be validating you quite frequently, saying, hey, you're doing a good job. Whereas with entrepreneurship, sometimes you might go months without anyone telling you you're doing a good job, and it can feel quite difficult, and it can feel like your efforts aren't being seen. I'm not saying this is necessarily a bad thing, but the freedom is terrifying. It's so much freedom that it's terrifying, right? Especially compared to what we're used to. I think the other great thing about being an entrepreneur, and one of the things that will affect your mindset and your identity, is that your direction in life becomes your job. It becomes your job to find direction rather than having some external person apply some promotion to you, right? You're level 1, you're level 2, you're level 3, right? Instead of that, you're having to set where you want the business to grow and in what direction. Do you want to sell another service? Do you want to sell another product? Do you want to get to the next level in terms of margins or revenue? Whereas, again, as an employee, these are set on you by someone external, which means that you don't know what the next step will be, right? There's a level of uncertainty. But I believe eventually that will become normal. But I think it certainly forces you to grow as a person, right? If you don't yet know what the next step is, or you have to sit down and figure out for yourself what your next step is going to be, inevitably you will grow. And in fact, I think you will grow in the direction that you want to, rather than growing simply by measure of level at a company or what hierarchy you're at. Instead, you'll be measured in terms of your own desires. For example, you might want to reach 100K, 200K, 300K. That's your own decision and you can push in a certain direction. Or alternatively, again, you might want to be more ethical or use more biodegradable products, right? If that's how you want to grow your business, then you can. Whereas, if you say to your business, who you work for, your boss, oh, I want to push the business in this way, they're just going to laugh at you, even if that's what you want. They're just going to say, well, this is the next step of promotion. There's no flexibility in that. I think the social perception of entrepreneurs and employees is so different as well. So when I tell people, or in the past when I told people I'm an accountant, they think, oh, that's a good job, that's safe, oh, well done, well done. But now when I tell people, I'm an entrepreneur, you can tell, or basically what my goals are, you can tell they're always skeptical. They've always got something to say. They've always got some opinion to add. And I think that's just the difference between your identities, right? If you're an employee, you're seen as you're safe, you're doing what everyone does. Whereas as an entrepreneur, you're doing what most people don't do, right? And that's scary to other people, and other people will look down on you for that. Maybe they'll support you and that those are your good friends, but most people don't. And even if they say that they do, secretly they don't. Which, all this goes to show is who actually believes in you and who doesn't, right? I think this helps you to learn to shut out other people's opinions, and I've already started doing that. Anytime you tell anyone that you're starting up a business, they always want to give their opinion. And it might not be a bad thing, they might be trying to help. But at the end of the day, I've started to just trust my own feelings, trust myself, and trust my own opinion, because most of the time, the person who's given their opinion on what you should do is an employee, and they've never ran their own business anyways. I think overall, your whole life changes when you go from an employee to entrepreneur. Your identity changes massively, and I think that it goes to show that entrepreneurship isn't simply just growing a business. I think successful entrepreneurs result in successful businesses, right? It's not the other way around. If you're successful as a person and if you're constantly growing, I think your business will grow as well. Which is why people like Alex Hormozi can grow so many businesses, because he himself has the skills to apply to these businesses. I think the key thing is just to keep on growing as a person, and your business will grow alongside you.